Hey guys, this is Andrew Holmes, and today we're going to cover the top 9 markets in Dupage County. Now, I know if you've watched our other videos, you're wondering, well, Andrew, why do you sometimes give 10 markets and sometimes you give 9 markets? Here in Dupage County, there were a lot of towns that had similar number of flips, so we kind of combined those just from the simplicity factor. So that's the reason why we're calling the top 9. So if you're familiar with kind of the Dupage County, it's obviously, the western county of one of the western counties in the Chicagoland area, starts kind of by O'Hare, Bensonville, Elmhurst, extends all the way out. It's a big geographic area. The other thing is in DuPage County, a lot of people will want to aspire to live in DuPage County, same as same as Lake County. So the competition in terms of the numbers in Lake County are very fierce. A lot of resales, a lot of people doing a lot of business in Lake County, but the profitability is a different issue. A lot of these counties where you may have a lot of sales, but the sales are not quite as profitable. Cook County and certain parts of Lake County are more profitable in per flip numbers, even though there are a lot of sales in DuPage County. So let's jump right into it. So on our number 9 in DuPage County is going to be Wheaton, which is kind of smack dab in the middle of DuPage County. Everybody loves that area, obviously. Good location, schools, all like a lot of amenities. And it's 10 flips last year in Wheaton. Number 8 is going to be a tie for 2 places, and that's going to be Glendale Heights, and it's going to be Lombard. So 2 places, Glendale Heights and Lombard. These are both markets that are hotter than hot. If you can price the properties at the right numbers, guess what happens? Boom, they fly off the shelf. Now, the biggest thing is this. Even in Lombard as well as Glendale Heights, don't try to attempt to buy properties that are above kind of 400s in terms of resales, because those properties, the turnover time is not as quick. It's going to be a little bit different than if you look at Naperville, part of DuPage. So you're going to have a lot of variety, so you need to make sure your price point has to be right on. The next one at number 7, we have Darien. Is going to be number 7, is at 12 properties, and that's Darien. This is another market which is a great market in terms of the number of sales. A very desirable market for a lot of people because, again, great location, schools, so on and so forth. The next market I believe we put down was Carroll Stream, I think. And we kind of, so Carroll Stream is another market which a lot of people like. There are some floodplains kind of right in the middle of Carroll Stream that you have to pay attention to. They're dry creek beds, and a lot of times people don't pay attention to those. And the reason it comes to mind is I just helped a couple of people get out of a couple of messes where they got into flips in Carroll Stream. So please make sure you pay attention to that when you're buying a property in Carroll Stream. The next one is going to be 3 towns that are tied in for number 5, and that's going to be Addison, West Chicago, as well as Hinsdale. Now, obviously, very price range. Addison and West Chicago are going to be kind of similar price ranges. Addison is something that has been selling very steady. West Chicago has been one of the markets. I have absolutely loved the West Chicago market for a long time, but my reason for liking it has been rentals, not for flips. I haven't done a flip over there in a very long time because anything that is rentals in that market, we buy and we hold on to it. One key thing in both West Chicago as well as Addison to pay attention to is going to be, especially in West Chicago, is going to be non-incorporated properties. A large part of West Chicago is going to be in non-incorporated areas, and there is a difference in terms of how the properties sell in terms of non-incorporated versus incorporated. The other thing is there's a big school district change in that area also. 2 different school districts, so your numbers are going to vary in terms of what the turnover times are. Obviously, in Hinsdale, it's a hot market, but the hot market is below about $1.2, $1.3 million. above that market. A lot of people get the impression Hinsdale is an expensive market, clearly, yet it is below a certain price point is where if I was looking to do a flip, that's where I would want to do a flip. I would not want to push the numbers 1.5, 1.6 in Hinsdale in general. The next one is going to be another tie for place number 4, and that's going to be Woodridge and Franklin Park. This should not be a surprise. Woodridge market has been a very, very strong market, and Franklin Park has been a very strong market. Now, there are parts of Franklin Park that have floodplain issues, but for some reason, because of the proximity to the airport, to kind of the location, maybe to highways, whatever the reason is, for some reason, the floodplains in general in Franklin Park have not been as big an issue, but that's something, if you're going to do flips, you want to pay close attention to. The next one is going to be Villa Park. Now, Villa Park is kind of an interesting area, very strong market, about 19 flips last year, but the challenge with Villa Park that concerned me a little bit was this, that a lot of the smaller properties that people were doing, the margins between the buy versus the sale, that delta, which is the buy price versus the sale price, the delta has been very, very strong. I'm sorry, very, very small, and that is a huge concern to me. So that is something you want to watch for. So out of the 19 flips that we observed in Villa Park last year, about 11 of them were less than $70,000 margin from the buy to the sale delta, and that is not a position that you want to be in. Interestingly, out of those, 4 or 5 of them were done by one investor. So this person, either they're doing a quick wholesale type of a deal, but if you look at the befores and the afters, and I was so curious, I even drove by those properties, that this person lost money on at least 2 to 3 of them, and maybe broke even on one of them. There was something wrong over there, so you want to pay close attention. Don't just run to it just because there are a lot of number of sales. The next one is a market that I know like the back of my hand, which is Hanover Park. Now, Hanover Park is an area where I kind of started my whole flipping and rental properties. We have a ton of properties that are rental properties in Hanover Park. That market has been just hotter than hot for flips, for rentals. We don't cover in our list the attached properties, which is townhouses, condos, that sort of thing. There have been a ton of those in Hanover Park. All the ones we're talking about in entire of all these lists, we're talking about detached single-family properties. So be careful when you think about those. We're not talking about attached, but this is a market which is hotter than hot. We've been keeping properties for rentals here, but if you're willing to do a flip in these markets, it's just absolutely wonderful. And the number one area that should not be a surprise is going to be Aurora at 26 flips. This is a very, very, very strong market, and it is very strong in a price range which is going to be below about 300. So there's Aurora has a huge price range in which you have very expensive houses, you have expensive houses, and then you start getting into the moderate to medium, moderate to lower price range houses. And in Aurora, you have part of it happens to be in DuPage County, part of it goes out west into, I believe, Kane or Will County. I always mix that up. But so it will make a big difference. But Aurora has been a very strong market if you're looking to do a flip. Hopefully, you're enjoying all these recordings that we're doing for you. This is Andrew Holmes from Chicago REIA. You can always come to one of our meetings. They're 100% free, and they're all around town. We have about 10 to 12 meetings every single month. For more info and more insight, you can always reach out to us on our email at info@chicagorea.org. That's Chicago, REIA.org. And hope to see you soon.